Hello and welcome to Jaw Law. I'm your host, Joe McGregor from Dallas, Texas, and today we're talking about those other contracts that people have us read.
Any material communicated on this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended to be legal advice. Nothing herein should be considered to create an attorney-client relationship. Please consult an attorney for legal advice on your matter.
If you're listening to this episode, you know probably that we are dental lawyers. That means 100% of our clients are dentists. Dentists call us up and ask us to primarily review contracts that relate to basically the things you would expect us to do, which is buy practices, sell practices, start practices, be an associate in a practice, and a couple of other things. But ultimately, most of what we do relates not just to the dentist, but to the dentist's business. When we have a client who asks us to do something that doesn't relate to that business of the dentist, usually we refer it out. Sometimes it's just automatic. So if somebody calls us and says, I got arrested over the weekend, we never do that stuff. Or even litigation. So someone says, I think my associate is violating the restrictive covenant that we have, and I would like to sue that associate. We don't even do that. We're very, very specific, not just dentistry, but the business of dentistry. And so you got other things. You're getting divorced, refer it out. You're going bankrupt, we refer it out. Just hyper specialized. Once in a while, though, a dentist will ask us to read a contract that is very similar to the ones we do, but it's not for a dental practice. So for instance, let's say a dentist is going to buy a restaurant, and we buy practices all the time, and the document that helps buy that practice is called an asset purchase agreement, and it's going to be the same instrument that is used to buy that restaurant. Now, even in those cases, a lot of times we refer those things out, but sometimes we will help. And in my pre-dental law life, I got to review things that were called private placement memorandums, PPMs. And this is where somebody has some type of equity opportunity and they have to, by law, put this document together to help convey all the risks and opportunities and things like that. So I do have experience reviewing those things. Another one of our attorneys in his pre-dental law life, he did franchise agreements, and it's not uncommon for dentists to be propositioned with a franchise opportunity, whether it's a restaurant or some kind of spa or whatever. So on occasion, if it's a dental client and it closely relates to not just what we do, but maybe previous experience, we will help on those things. And I wanted to do an episode because I feel like there have been a couple of opportunities that our clients have been approached with lately that, I don't know, maybe this is a public service announcement, some reduction of some of these conversations that we've had with these clients to help them try to process these opportunities based on what we've seen, what we see in the documents, and things like that. And at the end of the day, the too long didn't read version of this is be very careful investing outside of your practice. And if I may get on my soapbox for a second, you spend a lot of time and a tremendous amount of money investing in your dental education. Then you spend every single day working in a dental practice. And even furthermore, you have to continue your education. This is something that you're investing so much time. You should understand dentistry so thoroughly that you have confidence in yourself to go do whatever it is you choose to do in this profession. Contrast that with these other business opportunities. I'm going to use a restaurant because that seems to pop up pretty frequently. You have no experience running a restaurant. Maybe you were a server one time in a restaurant, I don't know. But for the most part, you didn't go to school for that. You haven't worked or do not work in a restaurant. You're not doing things that keep you up to speed in the restaurant industry. And so you have to understand, and I'm not even saying that these opportunities are bad. You just have to understand that your level of competency, no matter how good of a business person you think you are, your level of competency is going to be different. And that's just kind of the reduced version. Let's talk a little bit about these opportunities. Number one, I want to make sure that I'm not talking about the dental industry. And what I mean by that is that I'm not saying don't try to grow your practice. So let's say you buy a practice. I'm not saying don't try to grow your practice. Don't try to add associates. Don't try to get a second practice, eighth practice. I have thoughts about that. I've had those thoughts on Jaw Law before. But that's not what I'm talking about. It's a different conversation. I'm talking about non-dental business opportunities. So I think the place to start is, why are dentists being propositioned these opportunities? Or sometimes, why are dentists searching these out? I think number one, and this is just from conversation, I'm not aware of any studies that say this or anything, but I have to think that part of it is peer pressure. When you see colleagues living the life, and you're like, man, my practice can only get me so far. Maybe I should be investing in other things. This has happened a lot with like Bitcoin and stuff like that, where people have had some pretty successful experiences. You're like, man, maybe I should be doing it. But anyway, there's this idea that creates peer pressure, which is other people are making all this money that I am not making, and I should look for ways to make even more money. The other, and perhaps related idea, is genuinely, I think people want to get rich quick. Why would you not? If you were offering me like a great opportunity and I was going to have to work 10 less years in this life, or 20 less years, or whatever, or I could afford the lifestyle I think I deserve, or whatever, obviously that's going to be attractive to people. And I don't think that it is unnatural for people to wonder about, are there opportunities that I am missing that could get me to my financial goals faster than the track I'm on? One of the opportunities that a client was presented, she sent over a PowerPoint that went along with it. Like I said, there's a private placement memorandum and also this PowerPoint. And I remember one of the slides on the PowerPoint, it conveyed this story, and I apologize, it's actually been a while. It's been a couple of years, and I guess I should have looked this story up. But I guess there was a lawyer who was an early investor with Microsoft, and he cashed out very, very early. And I guess the slide said that if he had held on to his shares, he'd be like one of the richest men in the world. And it was saying, hey, don't miss out on that opportunity. And it puts this mental pressure on, like, hey, you're missing out. All these other people are making money. You're not. You're just sitting at home or sitting at the office doing dentistry, and you're missing out. And I think that's a really difficult mental frame to get away from. I also think that one of the other reasons seems to be, for lack of a better term for it, they are bored. And what I mean by that is they love dentistry, they're fine, and they're happy to do what they do, but it's the same thing every day, day in, day out, dealing with little petty problems. And when someone shows up and say, hey, I've got this company idea, it's going to make us cajillionaires, and it's a new subject. You are proven learners, right? You went to school for a very, very long time. You obviously love to learn, and you see this as a new frontier, a new thing to learn in life. And that's not wrong. That's not bad. Obviously, if you're going to invest in it, you want to learn it, but I think that's what keeps people's attention or what attracts people's attention and even keeps it in. And it's one thing that helps people feel better about their investment. They start to learn, get involved, get interested in this subject, and they feel like they're in a better position to invest. Now, finally, one of the most common reasons is actually family pressure. I can't tell you how many times we have had clients come to us and say, hey, my brother wants to start this business, this car wash, this restaurant, this franchise, whatever. A lot of times it's spouses, but I have a hard time blaming that one. But I see a lot of brothers and uncles and things like that coming to our clients saying, hey, you've got money. I would like to use some of that. I can make you more money. You won't have to do anything, cuz you just sit at home, let me borrow X amount of dollars. I'm going to go make you money, and you just have to sit back and collect a check. It sounds amazing, and you're helping a family member out. But also, even if you don't want to, which has been the case a few times where clients have confided in us, man, hey, Joe, is there something wrong with this? Because it'd be nice if you found something wrong with it so that I can go back to my cousin and say, hey, my lawyer won't let me do this. So that's something that seems to come up pretty often. And in fact, I bet more than 50% of the times, that's where the opportunity arises, some type of relative. I want to be clear. I'm not saying never invest. I am certain that some of our clients have had certain good investments, things that have worked out, including Bitcoin and real estate projects that have worked out. We have a client who invested in a restaurant and now it's got like a couple of chains. Like, these things happen and they can be great. We've also seen probably more clients either lose money on these investments or it hasn't shaken out. And I want to talk some things to maybe keep in mind. Number one, I already talked about it. You've got so much invested in dentistry. If your intent is to make more money, I think statistically, the odds are that you're going to make more money in dentistry because it is what you understand. It's what you know. You're trained to do this. You're going to be better at spotting opportunities and better at exploiting them. The chances that a dentist who is working 5 days a week is going to notice some other market opportunity that no one's exploiting is just a lot lower. That's just how it is. The second thing is that, we talked about this earlier, but you don't know that industry. You may learn about that industry, but you're never going to know about that industry the way you know about dentistry. And then finally, this is really tough because one of the appeals about these investments is that you don't have to be an active investor, an active participant. You can keep being a dentist while this business opportunity may make tons of money. But I would also argue that that's one of the problems or the risks, because if you think about being in a dental office, you have the opportunity to observe what your employees are doing, what your patients are saying, what's happening in the marketplace. When a September drops below a certain threshold, you can think back, well, what was the September last year or the September before that? You know dentistry and your practice so intimately that you can compare months or month to month. Like, how does my September stack up against my October? You know who should be hired for your office. You know about the pricing and about how insurance works or Medicaid or whatever. You know so much about dentistry, and think about that. And I'm not saying you have to stay in dentistry. What I'm saying is, do you have that granular knowledge in this other field? Now, I would make an exception for people who are putting hey, this is throwaway money for me. I'm going to invest in my cousin Bobby's med spa because I don't need that money. I'm just trying to help him. Or if I'm going to invest in my cousin Bobby's Apple stand, it's just a limited amount of money, or I'm just trying to help him out. I don't care if I never see that money again. Or it's just like a dream of yours. I have had a client who's like, man, I've always wanted to own a restaurant, and this is my opportunity. And that's fine. If you know what you're getting yourself into, that has a different dimension than just the money aspect of it. Anyway, all I'm saying is that over the years, we have had people approach us and ask us to help out or read documents that relate to these other business opportunities. And this is really the first time I've taken an opportunity to kind of like, well, what are the lessons we've learned in those business opportunities? Not saying don't do them, just saying be careful. Think about it. Make sure that you're being smart about it. Make sure you're getting people's advice. Ask your financial advisor, your accountant, your lawyer, your priest. I don't know. Just make sure that you're being careful. You're not risking too much, and you're not risking it in the wrong ways. That you fully understand your risk. And maybe I will close in some conventional wisdom, where we always say, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Let me just say, there have been clients propositioned with certain business ideas that were too good to be true. Guess what? 100% of them have been too good to be true. Never once have I seen something that I'm just like, wow, this is so amazing. Never once have those panned out. I'm not saying they can't pan out. I'm not saying that somewhere there's somebody who didn't ask me and it panned out for them. I'm just saying, personal experience, never once has one of these like ridiculous opportunities where people are saying, hey, there's no risk. It's just so awesome that this is basically a risk-free investment. It's never worked, not a single time. I just want you to be careful, have more faith and confidence in what you're doing as a dentist. And, dentist it has its own sexiness. So don't be too sad about missing out on these other opportunities. There are very few professions where you get the ability to make the money you get to make at the lifestyle you want to live. And I think that's something to be super proud and happy about. I am jealous as an outsider, so keep up the good work and be careful. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.